Happy New Year! Sorry, that just felt weird to do. I felt like I was a weird Santa Claus. Speaking of Christmas holidays, I think I already kind of talked about those. That was fun. So New Year's, I went out to Q Bar, and then from Q Bar went to Heaven. Well, first we started off going to Gay so that we could get the wristbands, so that we could then get into Heaven later. Then we stopped at Q Bar, talked with some cute, fun people, and I had a wonderful conversation actually with a dance instructor who had been like a ballet dancer until being an instructor, and we talked about contemporary modern dance. So then after Q Bar, we went to Heaven, and also, so I don't know if you've seen this trend that's been going around TikTok and Instagram Reels and on videos. But you're supposed to eat like this is a long-standing tradition, but it's just become trendy on TikTok recently. So you're supposed to eat a bunch of grapes, 12 grapes specifically, at New Year's. And depending on what source you're talking about, you're all supposed to do this under a table, wearing specific colored underwear, depending on what kind of luck you want to welcome into your life for 2025. And so Sorsha and I did this. we we got our grapes, counted out 12 grapes, and put the grapes in a fanny pack. Brought that fanny pack with me to Q Bar, and they actually like allowed me in with these grapes. I didn't expect them to do that. I think they might not have seen that they were in my fanny pack when I opened it and showed them. And then again, when we went to Heaven, they didn't even like see that I had a fanny pack, so they didn't even check. So we got in there with the grapes. And so at midnight, when there was the big countdown, we went upstairs to where there are a couple of tables, and I was the only crazy person willing to do it under a table. So I was just like there eating the grapes under the table at midnight, which might I add, was probably the best moment, or the best thing to do in that moment, because I was really thirsty and the grapes were just so wonderfully juicy. It was like heaven. It was heaven in heaven. I ended up having a really wonderful rest of the night. We stayed out not quite as late as Sorsha was hoping, but it was still like a kind of a late night, fun times. And then I went home. It took me ages to get home, but by the time I did, I went to bed for a few hours, and then I woke up with like the sun basically, and a friend of mine had invited me to go to a Kaylee happening at South Bank Center, and I also wanted to check out the parade. And so I went to Green Park station, got out there to see the parade. And at this point, the parade was supposed to have started, but it hadn't yet. So I got to see like the marching band and a Grinch and someone riding a dinosaur, and, and sort of like saw a glimpse of the parade. And it was raining, and I then like wanted to travel from there to the South Bank Center, which isn't that far, but it is, maybe a good half hour walk depending on what route you take. And I was hoping to cut through one of the parks, which turned out to be closed on New Year's Day, because they like to close parks here and it drives me insane. I think the idea of nature behind bars is weird. And anyways, so I'm like, running through central London with like my umbrella and like clutching my coat with my like wellies on, and running through as like the marching band is playing, Beatles songs and Pinball Wizard of all things. And it was a weirdly surreal experience, just like looking at where I was and noticing all of the elements of that. Uh, I can't really pinpoint what specifically was important about any of it, but it just was, I guess it was just so far removed from anything that I would have expected myself to experience, say, 5 years ago, or maybe longer. I'm not sure what version of Nikki would be the most surprised at where I was in that moment, but certainly at least one version. And anyways, I managed to get past all of like the parade stuff and crossed the bridge, went to the South Bank Center for the Kaylee, and that was so much fun. So if you don't know, and I don't expect too many of you to know, a Kaylee is like Celtic square dancing basically. So you have a band that is playing music, and you have someone who's a caller, and they're explaining the the dance steps that you're doing. You're doing dance steps in somewhat small groups, but sometimes you're linking up with larger groups. And you have a caller explaining, like, okay, now you are taking the hand of your partner, or you're doing this or doing that, and swinging them around, do si do, and all of that kind of stuff. And then as you're doing it, then there's like these call outs of reminders of what you're doing. So most people have no idea what they're doing, and a lot of the fun is in just doing your best anyway and jumping around and dancing with other people in close contact. And it was really heartwarming and beautiful to be a part of such like a joyful, like I don't even know how, I can't think of a time I've laughed harder, you know, or for a longer period of time. You know, it was a very sustained laughter period of laughter that I experienced with my friend. And so it was super joyful with people of all ages. It was very, very family friendly. There was, you know, at one point I had a little one next to me who was dancing, and which made some of the elements of the dance very challenging because you had to like, you know, be under people's arms. So when this one came around, you had to like be under this like 4-year-old arm. Probably not 4. I think this kid was a little bit older than that, but probably not much older. And yeah, there were people who were I don't even know how old, but with their partners who they'd maybe been with their whole lives, and just seeing that level of like community. And you know, also there were like teenagers. There's literally people of all ages. It wasn't just old people and young people. It was there were lots in between. And so it was really nice to have a space that was so high energy, joyful, community oriented, and just like wholesome after having had quite the opposite, but still high energy and joyful, just very not wholesome evening the night before. And having that be the sort of way to welcome in the new year was very balanced, I think, and a lot of fun. And anyways, I've decided that my New Year's slogan for 2025 is Rise and Shine. And I have been rising and shining. So since then, I've been waking up early, I've been working out and watching the sunrise, doing all that, getting my stuff organized. I'm finalizing my next steps on my travel plans. And yeah, everything is exciting, and the pace is picking up, which is really nice because I think it's been for me, a very like slow pace for a while. I've just been very tired, and also allowing myself rest because I've been able to give myself rest, and I've really needed it after the year that I've had. And yeah, so I'm feeling optimistic. Things are improving every day, and I had a really fun New Year's, and I hope you did too. And I'll check in with you next week. Bye.